Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Doss here, and welcome to the final creator interview that I have for the road to the anniversary. And it is with the one, the only otzdarva. I was shocked that he agreed to do this, but he graciously did, and it was such a blast to talk to him. It was amazing. It went a lot longer than I thought it was going to, and I really appreciated him. I hope you guys enjoy the final creator interview that I have and the insight and the great responses that otzdarva has given me and you. So, without further ado, enjoy this final interview. Alrighty, welcome in everybody. Welcome in. I have a very, very lovely guest for the final interview for the road to the anniversary. I have the one and only otzdarva. If you go ahead and introduce yourself and say hi to the audience.
Hello, friends. This is Odds. It's a little bit late here, so I will be speaking a bit quieter than usual, but I'm very, very, very happy to be here. I like to make videos. I've been making content for more than 10 years now, which is kind of crazy to say. And for the last chunk of that, I've been very focused on Dead by Daylight. It's absorbed my life quite a bit, like it's the case for many of us, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. Now, before I begin with the interview proper, I am aware of the fabled and famous otzdarva FAQ. And I
Oh
did
no.
go through it prior. However,
Oh.
there might be some questions here that are similar to some in it, but I still want to ask for a few reasons. One
That's
being,
completely fine.
one being in these interviews that the audience hasn't noticed. I have been asking a mix of personalized questions as well as general questions. Another reason is I simply feel these questions are good additions for the video. But the
Mhm.
first question for you, which has been the first question for everybody in this series, what drew you to the game? What led you to check out the, at the time, small game known as Dead by Daylight?
Well, it's quite fun because the first thing that this game did was actually not draw me in, it actually repelled me. A viewer of mine and friend gifted me this game and somehow convinced me to play it on stream very briefly with some of my mods and friends. And I don't remember it quite a lot. They told me that they bullied me really hard and they sabotaged every hook permanently, which was a thing back then. And it sat in my Steam library for a little bit. Now, I think I heard some rumors that the Saw chapter, might be coming to Dead by Daylight. There were even some leaks back then, and I was a big fan of Saw. So like many other people, I think that kind of inspired me to maybe give the game a second look. I remember in 2017, December, around Christmas time, I tried the game by myself, not with any plans of streaming it in any way whatsoever. And I found it so cool that I could just like customize my own killers, and the fact that Saw could be coming to it was a big draw as well. And when he did get announced, that got me really excited. I played so much Pig. I decided to make videos on it. Eventually, people even asked me for it, even though my content back then mostly revolved around other things. And before I knew it, I tried to fill some niches in content for DBD, and it was consuming my whole life, I guess.
Yeah, I did read that in your FAQ that a friend had gifted to you and that you had fully started playing it with the release of Saw. And I know you've mentioned it a few times in your previous streams and content, but it still is always crazy to me to think that like with you, with Hens, with Azzy, like people like me have actually predated you. Like for myself, I've been here since the beta. And
Wow.
it's crazy to think like such influential people in this space like didn't necessarily start like right at the beginning.
No, not at all. Many of the OG players of this game that did so much to spread it and make it reach a bigger audience. Some of them are no longer with us. Some of them have moved on to other types of content, or maybe don't do content creation anymore. I mean, it's been we're coming to the 10th year anniversary. It's really, really difficult to stay in the content creation sphere for that long, and it's kind of crazy that I've been playing it for nearly that, not quite 10 years, but for nearly that. Yeah, it's really something special.
Yeah, it really is. It's a testament to the game and like everything that it's done. But a follow up question for that I have for you is what keeps you into Dead by Daylight? What makes you boot up the game and play it and check it out?
Well, there's one thing that dried out for me quite a long time ago. I think a few years into playing Dead by Daylight. I don't remember exactly when, maybe it was around 2020 or 2019, I'm not sure. At one point, I did unlock everything, and ever since I've had everything unlocked, and yeah, unlocking everything and just customizing my characters, that stopped being interesting and important to me a long time ago. What remains, obviously, is the new content that comes to the game pretty much every 3 months, and also the opportunity to do things that are fun, that inspire other people, that teach other people how to play the game and enjoy it more. That's typically what brings me back to it. The challenges and the opportunity to make the game a bit more fun for other people, that really means a lot to me.
Yeah, and I know it means a lot to your audience and a lot of people in the space. It's definitely what made me find you in the first place. To be honest, I definitely was not with you at the start. I think I discovered you during the pandemic.
Oh.
But I had really enjoyed your content and stuff along those lines. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the way that you had made content. So I definitely really love that those feelings are still what keep you into WA, trying to like teach people and trying to make like a space where people can come in if they're new or returning and just be able to pick it up back again because of your.
Honestly, I have a feeling that even if there was no one left to learn this game, there's something very satisfying about updating my little list of stuff, like going through all the add-ons, sorting them. It does scratch a certain itch in my brain that, I don't know, it's very satisfying to discuss and relearn the game every time there's changes. That's a part that I don't always talk about, but I do think that there's some really satisfying part about that I kind of do sometimes. The fact that I have an audience is awesome, but I think I would also kind of do it maybe if there was nobody out there like updating my list of add-ons and stuff like that. I do find that very satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, it shows you have passion, and I think that's really important in this space. And to do it for however long you have done it and others have done it, like you definitely need that type of passion to be able to continue to do like your website, your tier lists, your recommended builds, etc., etc. I definitely feel that passion. But like myself, you've been on YouTube for over a decade now, and prior to Dead by
Mhm.
Daylight, you were primarily a Dark Souls content creator. What pushed you to start making content in the first place?
Quite honestly, I don't think it was a very deliberate plan. There are some people that are like, oh, I'm very good at this, or I have an end goal into content creation. I'm going to give myself 1 year to do this. The truth is, I never thought it twice. I really enjoyed the FromSoft games that I had played. I was very excited to play Dark Souls when it finally was available to me. And I bought a very rudimentary recording device at the time that recorded in like passable quality, and I started making videos that did not have much of my personality or much of myself in them. And I never really monetized my content for like many years. It really was a complete afterthought, like any kind of like long-term plan to make content, right? But one day I just started infusing my personality a little bit more into it, and I really enjoyed it. And honestly, when I had the ability around the year 2015 to start live streaming, when I had high-speed internet and I could live stream and I could get that interaction with viewers, sometimes even play with them and do events with them. Oh man, that really, it was like tasting a drug that you know you're gonna be addicted to for the rest of your life. That was honestly life-changing.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy to hear. I mean, for myself, I didn't even know what YouTube really was until 2014. I discovered what YouTube was because of Markiplier and FNAF. So,
Oh no.
yeah, what do you mean? Oh no.
Yeah, that makes me realize how old I am.
Yeah, well, to make you feel a bit older, I graduated high school in 2015. So,
What? Oh my god, I was almost done with college around that time. So,
yeah,
yeah.
I had started my channel in high school in November of 2014. This year's gonna be 11 years, and I recorded videos on my theater arts teacher's computer because he was super chill and he
Oh,
let me do whatever I wanted. So it was
that's
crazy.
great. That's great. Honestly, that's how you start. Just like artists start doodling things on little notepads, I guess a content creation starts on a little, I don't know, your uncle's laptop or something. It's little baby steps, right?
Yeah,
I find that very endearing.
yeah. You use what you can have. But as I was doing a little bit of research into your YouTube career, I noticed that besides Dark Souls, you had played video games like PUBG and Bigfoot and stuff along those lines. You seem to have dabbled in a bit of variety, but What
Yeah.
what ultimately made you just pivot from doing your typical content to Dead by Daylight content?
Okay, well, the thing is, even though I did have Dead by Daylight gifted to me via viewer, the thing that really inspired me to try streaming it myself was watching one of the most influential streamers, I think, period. One of the OG streamers on Twitch before it was even called Twitch. His name is Oroboro. He also streamed a lot of Souls games, and that's how I was acquainted with his content. But when I saw him stream Dead by Daylight, I had a really unique realization about that game. I did not understand the game. I mean, at all. I was watching it for the first time. And even though I did not understand a single thing about it, I was glued to my screen. I could have a very basic understanding of what was going on. And I was cheering for my streamer to kill those guys that he was chasing. And I found it really, really fun. And I think that opened up to me the idea that if I enjoy watching this and I barely understand it, maybe my audience, which is not maybe an audience that's familiar with Dead by Daylight yet, maybe they'll also feel the same way. And obviously, when I streamed it for the first time, my audience was a bit confused. There's always a period where, they will make jokes like, what kind of Dark Souls DLC is this? And so on.
Yeah.
But eventually, yeah, I feel like the game and my own content have grown together over these years.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you took that plunge. It's always scary to try to change content. I know even recently some of my friends have been like, "Oh, you should maybe try this and this." I'm like, I don't know. Nowadays I'm primarily Dead by Daylight channel, so I don't know how that'll take. So it's always scary, but I am truly very happy that you took that dive and you're here today where you are. Like, it is just crazy to think that
No, I've been like, I could honestly sit here for 3 hours and explain just the insane turns that my life has taken and how lucky I have been at every single one of them to be given like the opportunities that I've been given and the privilege that I've been given. So yeah, no, like I do think that as a creator, as you said, it's really scary to move on to a different subject that you think your audience will not react to well. But if you don't ever move, you just stagnate, right? So it's a risk you have to take at some point. And luckily, to me, it wasn't super difficult because when I played PUBG, which was for a brief period of time, I enjoyed that so intensely. And when I played Dark Souls, I was into that so much. And when I played Dead by Daylight, even though it's been many, many years, I was also really, really into it. So for me, it just came very, very naturally.
yeah, I mean that's amazing to hear. With us talking about like how old our channels are and how long we've been doing content, what advice would you give somebody considering to start doing content creation for Dead by Daylight in its 10th year?
Even though this game is incredibly saturated and it is incredibly, incredibly difficult to stand out just doing your average content, there is ways you can grow and there is ways you can reach an audience. For other games, if you have an amazing personality, if you are funny, if you do something fairly impressive at the game, you will have a lot of people discover you. But Dead by Daylight just has so many creators and so many amazing creators that are flooding every category on every single platform. It is difficult to stand out. But don't forget that this game has so many components to it. It's not one-dimensional. There's a lot of killers, there's a lot of playstyle, there's a lot of perks, there's a lot of strategies, and one of them you might be very good at doing, and nobody else is really doing quite like that. If you start a channel with some kind of content that no one else is quite doing just like you can blow up. You can blow up very, very quickly. And later, once you have a more established audience, you can maybe branch out to other things as well. I've seen this many, many times in other channels. I don't want to name drop anybody because I think I would be putting them on the spot, but I'm sure you can think of someone that fits this description, right?
Yeah.
Someone that you think of, oh, this is the guy or the gal that does this one thing that people want to go to this channel to learn how to do this one thing. And that can be one way to stand out. But yeah, find one thing that makes you stand out a little bit, and definitely lean on short form content on platforms with good discoverability, and focus a little bit on doing that as well on the side, because it's very difficult to grow just from live streams.
I completely agree with you. I have friends who have kind of made it. They're in the iridescent tier now. White Noise Design. He got really big on TikTok, and he streams
That's
like that,
amazing.
but the discoverability that he had on TikTok was just exponential. And look at him now. He's the iridescent tier. He's extremely popular. He's chumming up with the likes of you, Hens, Polly, stuff like that. So I definitely agree. Like short form content, finding your niche and trying to focus on that. And then once you have a bit of an audience, expanding, I think is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, do not worry too much about having the perfect renders for thumbnails or hiding artists or editors. If you can find something that you can do by yourself, even with very rudimentary editing skills, and you can do it relatively quick, and you can pump out content that has a good ratio of quality, but also something that you can do relatively quickly so that you can iterate, and find the perfect formula, I think that's kind of where you want to go. I do see that a lot of creators early on, they cannot afford to hire a thumbnail artist, which obviously is an expense, and they use AI, which makes them not stand out at all. Or maybe they don't want to do shorts, or they don't want to do YouTube videos because they think they need a video editor, when in reality you can do by yourself very, very basic things. Very, very basic things with almost no editing software, or straight up no editing software other than your own streaming software like OBS. So yeah, I recommend really start simple.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at this video right now as you're watching as an example. Look at the thumbnail I have. I'll even send it to Otz right now so you can see the very rudimentary basic editing, but I didn't want to use AI, so I decided to
and
do my own
people appreciate something handcrafted.
Yeah. Sorry, just looking at the image. I'm still really chuffed about that. So you've spoken on this a bit during your streams and videos, but for those who are not aware, one of your previous jobs is being a 911 operator. Is there anything from that role that you brought over into your current career of content creation? Is there anything that, like, any best practices or anything that stuck with you that you've been using?
No, absolutely very, very little. If anything, I mean, one thing that is true, during the brief time that I worked at that, I don't want to make anyone believe that I worked in that field for like 20 years or anything. It was a very, very useful job that I had after college that I think helped me stay on my feet a little bit and allowed me to have a little bit of, what would you call it, a safety net? Which allowed me to go full-time eventually on content. So I'm very, very grateful. And my colleagues were so amazing. But yeah, there's not a lot of skills that you take from that into streaming. Streaming is quite different. But one thing that definitely helped was managing multiple monitors and managing multiple things at once. That's something that in that job you absolutely had to do. Just to give you a sense of what a emergency call would look like. On your side monitor, you would have a map that would try to more or less tell you where the emergency was taking place, right? You would need, by the end of the call, you would have to make sure that that emergency has been accurately placed in the correct area so that, you know, police or medical emergencies or firefighters can show up in the correct spot. And you would also need to type a summary sometimes of the emergency as well. So having to type while you look at a map, while you point at a map, while you listen to someone and gather information, but also ask them questions so that they do give you the information, and do all of that while you have other noise going on in the room. I mean, I guess that is something that does translate a little bit to streaming, I suppose. You do need to have some kind of multitasking, which I know some people struggle with. For example, I remember one person that passed a lot of the interviews, even though they were really nice and really motivated, they just were very, one of these elderly people that are not so good with technology, that have not grown up with keyboards and computer screens. They were a little bit behind in typing quickly, and they sadly did not get to keep the job because it was a little tricky. But yeah,
I definitely understand that. I mean, as someone myself, I never had an intense job like that, but I have customer service support experience, so I'm also used to using multiple monitors, and I do think that, like, being able to multitask like that has definitely helped as well with streaming or content creation in general, like having an eye on everything. Like, for me personally, I have 4 in front of
Yeah,
me.
no,
So
emergency is very much like customer support. It's true that every now and then you get some crazy call that requires a lot of attention, but it is honestly very, very similar to customer support. It's really not that different. Many of the calls are very routinary. They are emergencies, but they're not that urgent, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
So yeah, probably it is closer to like our jobs in that field. Probably we're actually pretty close to one another.
Yeah. So as you will undoubtedly humbly deny, you are probably one of, if not the most well-known and beloved content creators in the Dead by Daylight space. Do you ever feel pressure being in this position? And if so, how do you personally deal with it?
Well, I do feel very loved, so that I won't dispute. I do feel like I do get an insane amount of love. People are incredibly kind to me, and sometimes I feel like I can do no wrong. And when people challenge me or disagree with me, I do welcome that. Like anybody else, I will get defensive, but I do welcome that because it is nice to be challenged. I don't know. I feel very, very lucky. I have been put in a situation that I think is incredibly unique. I can record the video where I talk nonstop for 10 hours about one of the things that I really care about, and I make a lot of money doing that. And people show me lots of love doing that. And who else in the world can do that? Very few people. Very, very few people, you know?
Yeah.
If you have that sort of interest, to be able to monetize it and to be able to grow an audience and make friends and help other people doing that is just such a 1 in a million lottery ticket that I just happened to win.
Yeah.
Do I feel pressure? Sometimes, yes. Unfortunately, there are a few things that come with being a large creator or having a very large, diverse community that are, I want to say, somewhat unavoidable. I can give you a little top 3 maybe of the things that bother me the most or that I deal with the most, if you'd like.
Yeah. Go for it.
Number 1 is just very vague generalizations that are completely unprovable. You know, like if I, for example, said, oh, the problem with Odds is that his viewers just do this and do this and do that. The answer to that is always yes, of course. If there's a lot of people in my community or a lot of people that consume my content, among them, there's always going to be someone that does something that you don't like. And you could always just speak as if my entire viewer base was one monolithic mind brain, right? Where I don't think that's quite the case, but still. So sometimes I will hear comments that I think are a little bit unkind and that just completely remove every like the agency of any individual and just think of my audience as a one block. And that typically comes from people that maybe disagree with me on something or that maybe had a bad experience with someone that agree with me on something. And yeah, it's just really, really hard to deny it, right? Because what can I say? Like, yeah, that puts me on the spot a little bit. Just because it's almost like if you engage with it, you're agreeing by default, where the premise itself is flawed. Another thing that also bothered me a few years ago, more so than now, I think I've grown quite a bit and I try to be better, but the amount of scrutiny that you have for things that you've done wrong, and sometimes for things that you haven't done wrong, sometimes gets a little bit, I don't want to say overwhelming, but it does get a little bit under my skin, and I find myself spending more time and energy thinking about things than I would like. For example, people accusing you of warping the balance of the game over things that you know you have no control over, no control whatsoever over. That is always a bit upsetting. I used to make quite a lot of videos discussing the balance of the game and discussing specific perks, specific add-ons, specific things that I thought were problematic and why. And I did like making rant videos like that. The only problem with these videos, of course, is that if I complain about a perk that is obviously completely broken and the developers eventually, after 6 months maybe or a year, fix it, now people are going to point towards me, even if they were going to do that regardless of what I said, you know? Even if I didn't actually want the perk nerf, even if I didn't actually make a video about it sometimes, you know? So that being a little bit of like the PR person for behavior that sometimes has bothered me because I've never wanted that role. And as of the last couple years, I've definitely stepped on that. When people ask me, what do you think about this? I'll give them my thoughts, but I will probably not make as many videos. I won't get as invested, because when I was that invested, I generally sometimes was a little bit unhappy. I caught flack from all angles, because of my opinions, or because I made videos explaining how I think the game could be better, right? People do get very, very, very personal, and sometimes just flat out misunderstand things. One example of this, if you don't mind me going on a bit of a tangent, is I made a suggestion on how the game could avoid situations where a killer tunnels a survivor out of the game and kills a survivor super, super quickly. And I made a suggestion on how that could be maybe slightly relieved with one base kit mechanic. Well, it turns out that a couple months later, the developers released a perk that did something very, 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 very similar to that. And I don't like that perk. I don't think it should be a perk. I don't think it should work like that. I don't like that concept. But because it was similar to something I suggested, I had to listen to so many people say that that was my idea, that they just copied my idea, and now any problems that come with this perk are my fault, which is not what I wanted, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've definitely taken a bit of a step back from trying to be as involved with balance. I found that it just didn't make me very happy, and that I didn't have much control over the game anyway. Like, it's not like if I didn't complain, something would go unfixed. The devs at the end of the day, they will listen to like the overall community and fix things that are obviously really, really like sticking out like a sore thumb over time. So
yeah, I mean, it's very important for you to like prioritize your mental health, and if creating that content, stuff like that, just was taking a toll because of people not being able to separate your opinions from what ends up happening in the game, and putting an apple into an orange and trying to connect things that aren't really there, I definitely understand and get it, and I fully support that.
I mean, it also comes down to the fact that DBD sometimes is kind of like a faceless entity, right? It's true that back in the day, the developers used to do more dev streams, and sometimes the developers themselves streamed on Twitch. And you remember how we treated them, right? Like, every time they did something stupid, we made fun of them. We memed them into oblivion. We made clips of them. We said how bad they were at the game. We clowned them. Yeah. And now they don't want to stream anymore. They don't want to be the face of Dead by Daylight anymore. It's true that there are still a few devs, God bless them all, that put themselves out there and are a bit of a face of the game. But a lot of people don't get to that part. A lot of people would rather personify their issues with the game or their complaints with the game into a single content creator, because it's so much easier to complain then, and it's so much easier to assign blame, right? If one single person is the one responsible for the game being too survivor-sided, too killer-sided, too whatever-sided, then you can just blame them, and it feels good. It's a lot easier. It's easier to do that than to just complain about a faceless corporation and the big engine that is Dead by Daylight behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Man, like, for me personally, like, I definitely like feel bad for all that stuff that's going on. I was there.
No. Like, I like, you did ask me about this, and I've been super, super honest about how I feel. But at the end of the day, when I sit back and look back, this is such a minor inconvenience. My path or my career as a content creator has been filled with so much joy. It's a very, very, very minor thing. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. Like, it was a bit frustrating at times, and like, what do you do about it, right? But no, it's not. It's really not that big of a deal. And for every weird or nasty comment I've received, there are a million positive and joyful comments that honestly just give me a lot of meaning to what I do.
100%. I'm super happy to hear that. With transitioning with like you having like this wonderful meeting, this wonderful like experience with your community and stuff like that, like you have kind of taken on the role of being a teacher within the Dead by Daylight community, going as far as having a wonderful website with many explanations to aspects of Dead by Daylight, as well as recommended killer and survivor builds and much, much more. what was your reasoning to creating this site in the first place and making the robust and helpful
Okay,
source of knowledge it is today?
I honestly, I never thought, oh, I'm gonna make a website. It's just, I think at one point I realized if I need to make a new video every time there's like a change, this is just completely unsustainable. And every 3 months or every month and a half, I need to, like, I just hated the idea of having a video out there. And I still do hate the idea of having a video out there that says, oh, this is really good, or this is really useful, or this is amazing for beginners. And it's not anymore. And it's the complete opposite. Or maybe the perk has been reworked, or it's not available. I hate the idea of not having something there that helps new players, or helps someone that's looking for the help, or worse, actually misleads them, right? So it didn't really start out as a website. It started more like, oh, I just had a little spreadsheet that I updated every now and then, right? Because that way I could point people towards that if they asked me on stream. And then suddenly I had multiple spreadsheets. And then suddenly I now had one for builds as well. Eventually I decided, you know what, let's just put it all together. And it's still definitely not very professional or anything like that. But at least it's like a one-stop shop where you can find all of the stuff that I update. And I do have a lot of fun updating it. It's honestly starting to become quite a bit of work, just because the amount of killers makes updating everything like increasingly difficult. But I find it super worth it. I love doing it.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I love checking out your site and stuff like that. And like whenever like a new killer comes out, if it's like been like a bit of time, I'll always check your website, be like, all right, what does Oz recommend? What should I use?
Thank you. It's making me feel really bad that I need to catch up on updating some of the things on it as well. Like,
no, you're fine.
It's almost like a part-time job, but I mean, I love it. I love it.
The only thing for me that I want updated is the goddamn perk pack. I want the otzdarva perk pack and nightlife updated. It has been updated 9 months, and I asked someone on Reddit, and I was like, oh,
okay, I know the person that does that. We'll talk it out. No worries.
Yeah, they had told me that it was gonna be updated soon once you had done your updated ranking. I was like, okay, good. And then I saw you posted 2 10-hour-long videos of everything. I was like, oh, okay, it's gonna take a while. Okay, I'll wait. But yeah, I really do appreciate that website. But so pivoting a little bit here, looking back when MMR was released, it seemed like the player base viewed it as an overwhelmingly negative thing. What was your initial thoughts and reaction when Dead by Daylight introduced it? And now that it's been in place, how does it seem now? Do we think it's been healthy for the game overall?
No. Well, has it been healthy for the game overall? Let's look at what the developers say. We don't have a lot of statements or a lot of interviews or a lot of dev streams where they talk about the results of the MMR, but there are a few. And to hear from the dev's mouth, they think it's great. They think it's amazing. Back before MMR, they had numbers that indicated that some players were winning way too often or losing way too often, right? They were basically not playing against equally skilled opponents. And after the MMR, these numbers have averaged out a little bit. Yes, there are people that win way more often than others, but the amount is now lesser, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So 100, like compared to before, 100% the devs believe that this system is the way to keep it. And I guess from my point of view, I would reluctantly say that MMR is a necessary evil. We just know that this game is played very differently at 100 hours of experience, at 500 hours of experience, at 2,000 hours of experience, and above that. It's just very, very different. And if you play with a teammate that has very few hours and they've never played against a certain killer, you can just tell, and it completely warps the game, right?
Yeah.
So I think that MMR, unfortunately, is necessary for this game. It would be wonderful if the game was super simple and we didn't have to worry about that, or there was a rank mode where it was super clear. But if I had a switch right now, which was turn the MMR off, I would never consider touching it, because it would genuinely destroy this game. You would never be able to play solo queue again. Your teammates would probably be all over the place. Killer would be a really sad experience where you probably would just want to find the obvious weak link each game and tunnel them out, and then it's a free win from there. So yeah, I guess it is a necessary evil. Now that we have it, how do we rate it? I think there's one thing about MMR that bothers me more than anything else, and it's the fact that the devs just kind of hope you don't think about it, and I don't like that. I do not like that. If I went to a restaurant and I ask, oh, what's in this meal that you just served me, and the waiter just said, yeah, you don't, just enjoy it, just try to eat it, just see if you like it, you know, we'll bring you another one if you like. That would not inspire me with much confidence. That wouldn't make me want to be a repeat customer, right? And that's kind of what the developers do with Dead by Daylight. What's the MMR? Ooh, it's this magical number. Don't think about it. Just play the way you normally play. And if you win a lot, you play against people that win a lot, and it will average itself out. Don't even worry about it. There is nothing in the game itself explaining the MMR system. It is completely opaque. The only reason we know is because the devs have explained it and because it's been data mined. But if you're a new player that does not consume anything outside the game, you do not understand MMR. More than that, you actually probably misunderstand MMR, because most players have the impression, the very logical, intuitive impression, that their MMR is their rank, aka their grade. So you probably have seen a lot of people in your comment sections or in social media being like, if I'm gold 2, why am I playing against someone that is Eerie 1? Like they just do not understand. They don't understand that has nothing to do with MMR anymore. So I personally do not like the fact that the developers have kind of put a veil over our eyes and hope that we just don't care about it. The truth is that at the high end of MMR, the game does get more serious, yes, but some people get there because they are good at the game, and some people get there because they want nothing but meta perks in their builds. And I think that what it does for the variety of perks and the variety of killers that you see is honestly really, really sad. But yeah, that's my quick thoughts on MMR.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, as far as I'm aware, the current map showcase that's been happening for the 10-year doesn't have MMR. And man, did I feel it yesterday. I actually was Paulie's killer yesterday, and his teammates were not great. No. I had everybody basically death hook at 5 gens.
Jesus. Paulie's a very chill survivor. It's really lucky.
Yeah, well,
if you go against him, he does go easy on people. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, well, he was getting pretty frustrated. He's a friend of mine, so I tend to I let him live.
My understanding, by the way, is that the alternative game modes, they do have MMR, but they just copy it from your normal mode, and you do not lose or gain. So basically, if your MMR was 1,000 in the normal mode, it uses that for matchmaking. But the truth is, because there's less players and the matchmaking might widen to accommodate for that. If the queues are long, you know that, right? Your MMR gets expanded. So it might have been due to that. I'm not sure. But yeah, the one thing that I'm sure you've noticed is that playing the extra or alternative game modes is generally very, very chill, because many casual players gravitate towards that. If you play 1v4 mode, the regular mode, during 2v8, you will notice that your teammates in solo are 10 times better. And your survivors, if you play killer, are deadly. They are serious. They are cutthroat. They do not mess around.
I always realize in those aspects, I gotta sweat way more than usual. So 100%. So I have a question here from my best friend. He wanted your opinion with your oodly noodly brain and everything. Considering, this is a word for word for him. So considering behavior is very adamant about trying to push more killers towards hooking rather than just slugging and tuddling, why do you think they haven't just changed their victory condition to be X amount of hooks that is based on a player bracket rather than just kills to make their win condition line up with how they want them to play, and how hard they've been trying to push killers in that direction with several attempts it made to discourage, penalize, and promote that playstyle?
Okay. Oh, that's such a fascinating question. I mean, the first bit that I would question immediately is like, have the devs actually really encouraged killers to hook people?
Yeah,
do we actually agree with that notion? Because frankly, even though I think in paper, in theory, they do want that, I think in practice, they often really miss the mark. And I think they've made a lot of steps that have made hook and survivors kind of dangerous and risky, comparatively speaking, when it comes to slugging. Like, it's so much easier sometimes. But back to the question, why isn't the... Do you think it would be a fair summary to summarize that entire question into something like, why isn't a center amount of hook stages better as a win condition?
Yeah, I think that's a great summary for his question.
Okay. So I have maybe two theories. I'm going to explain the one that makes the most sense to me, and then we can explore the second one, and maybe you have your own as well. The one that makes the most sense to me is that when you think about hook stages, even though it is a really good way of determining how well you've done for example, in a tournament, right? It does make some really stupid things happen. For example, let me ask you a question, right? If a survivor group does 5 gens and has 0 hooks, like they just pop off, they just do 5 gens, the killer really struggle, right? And at the end, the killer catches 1 person and puts them in the basement, and they camp them. And now the 3 remaining survivors, they could leave, right? They could totally escape. But they decide, you know what? Let's get our friend out of the basement. And they all go into the basement. They get him out. But then someone goes down back into the basement. And then they go back and they get him out. And then maybe they go down but further from the basement. And then another hook happens. And then they exchange and they exchange and they exchange again. And now it's been 4 or 5 hooks. We're still in the endgame. Exit gates 99. Now the exit gates get open. The killer has ball warden. It's a bloody exchange. Anyway, at the end, they've all been hooked like twice, all of the survivors, but they all managed to escape. Who has won in this match?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Because that's 8 hooks, right?
Yeah.
Maybe let's say that one of them actually dies. So 9 hooks, 9 hook stages. That's 1 kill, 9 hook stages. And you would think, oh, the killer has done extremely well in this situation, right? The killer has done extremely well because he's got 9 stages. But the survivors could have at any moment, just left. I think that if we had a hook stage win condition, even though in tournaments that works great, and there's a good reason to do it in tournaments, in a normal match, I think it would be depressing. Because every time you get to the endgame, as a killer, the survivor mentality would never be to, let's go back for our team and get a 4-man out. Let's go back for our teammate and get a 3-man out. The survivor mentality would be like, oh, that guy is already on his final hook stage. Let him die. Let's get the 3 people out. And as a killer, you never have any kind of engaging back and forth where you have the ability to do a big comeback because survivors would not want to risk it. The nicest thing about the current win condition, which I guess we could describe it as just kills, even though kills is not always a great indicator of how well you did in a match, we all understand that.
Yeah.
It is nice that you can at any moment possibly turn a game from 0 kills to 4 kills if survivors make a mistake, right? And that means that even if you have a game where the survivors did nothing, you really struggle to hook them. You didn't really get any hooks. They drop every single pallet. But in the end game, if they make a mistake, you can turn that around. That's exciting. If I got to the end game and my win condition was 9 hooks and I had 1 hook stage, I know that I'm never gonna win that, and I'm just gonna DC. I'm just gonna quit. There's no tension. Like I don't know if you ever played in a tournament, but one of the saddest things that you can do in a tournament is when you load into a match and your teammates tell you, hey, by the way, when it was our turn to play Survivor, we all died at 5 gens. So now you have to kill everyone at 5 gens. And like, okay, I've lost. Okay, yeah. Thanks. Good job, team. Thanks, guys. I'll try, but I've lost. And then you load into the game, and then you know already there's no point in playing the remaining of the match, right? So yeah. I think that might be the reason why hook stages are not a win condition. Now, I think it would be really nice if the game acknowledged that you've had a lot of hook stages. If you have 0 kills or 1 kill and a lot of hook stages, the game should reward you more and should pat you on the back a little bit and be like, hey, you didn't get a lot of them, but it was obviously a hard-fought battle. And I think that would be really nice. I think the game currently doesn't really do that. And the process of hooking a lot of people is, as we've explained and we've hinted earlier, sometimes as a killer, it's debilitating. You take so long to hook. Survivors get really strong with off-hook perks. They get to heal in a second after being unhooked. They get 40 seconds of endurance. They get 60 seconds of decisive. They get so many things. They get dead hard. They get so many things that just really make you sometimes think, why am I even hooking them in the first place, right? But yeah, that's, I think, why I personally think hook stages as a win condition, even though it sounds nice, would lead to some incredibly lame situations. Now, why don't the devs do that? Why don't they do that? I don't know if they have the same reasoning. I think from the devs, I think they just don't want to keep it confusing.
Yeah.
I think the devs understand that if you have a game where people have to count hooks and stuff, a lot of beginners and intermediates, you lose them with that. You know, for them it's a lot easier if it's just, oh, kill, okay, win. Death, okay, lost for that survivor. So maybe they just have a mind of keeping it simple.
Yeah.
Do you have any opinion on this?
Yeah, they just want to keep it black and white. Well, for me, so my friend had given me this question yesterday. I did ask him if he had a question for you specifically, and this was his question. I kind of gave him the same arguments that I gave you, and his response was like, well, what if we like based it off of like the grades that you get, like, oh, like depending on how many hooks you got and how it played out, like it'd be gold and eerie. And I kind of countered him on that, similar to how you explained here, is like, well, what if something happens at the end of the match? What if you're running an end-game build and like the survivors finish the 5 gens extremely quickly and you end up having no way out, blood ward, and all this stuff. You end up getting like all these hooks at the end of the game.
Yeah, no,
like
yeah,
what's
no,
a win,
I get
what's a loss, and so
I mean, I'm sure you could like make a system that only counts how well you've done before the end game begins. I'm sure you could define it. There's been a lot of suggestions over the years to make the emblem system, which is the system that ranks you based on how you quote unquote perform, into the matchmaking. I don't think it's a completely stupid idea. Like, it is a really nice idea to reward survivors and killers based on how much they did in the game. And a killer that got 0 kills but did a lot should not get the same treatment as a killer that got 0 kills and did nothing and they were AFK, right?
yes.
It's just that the system is honestly a little bit, what's the word?
Rudimentary.
Yeah, and also it doesn't discriminate between killers really well. Like, I'm sure you know this, but insta-down killers get half as much chase points as killers that hit you twice.
Oh yeah.
Why? Why haven't they changed that? Yeah. Blows my mind. Survivors, they get a lot of points for doing things that are sometimes not that good, like doing totems, dual totems. Why?
Oh yeah.
You tell me, right?
Yeah.
But they could integrate it into some way. Like it wouldn't be a crazy thought at all. The only problem, or one of the problems, is that with the current emblem system, you could have a situation, right, where both sides win. Like, you could be a killer that gets, I don't know, 2 kills or something, and you absolutely max out chase, max out devotion, max out everything, right? And you could get like a pip up, and survivors could also get that. And if you have a system where both sides win, then you cannot have MMR. Because MMR, with the system that we have, requires one person to win and one person to lose, or a tie,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely,
so,
yeah. And like with your comment of like some killers don't work well with the system and everything, like I remember, much like yourself, back with how adepts and stuff used to work, I had trouble with Plague as well, of getting her adept because of how her scoring system worked and how it kind of punished you to use your power and stuff.
Yes.
So I definitely agree with you with that. But
no, I get that. Yeah. And for example, with Wraith, when you uncloak and you hit someone, that counts as like a 2-second chase. So the game thinks that you're insane at chase. You can literally chase and down or hit every survivor in 2 seconds. But if you play a killer that's a bit slower, then the game thinks that you're really bad. Like,
yep.
It's very, very outdated. If they made it better, it could be a good way to, like, I don't know, complement the rank system or complement the MMR. I don't know, but yeah.
All right. So moving forward with that, I know this interview is running a bit long, so I'm gonna.
That's okay.
So having been one of the few creators who was a part of the now shuttered Fog Whisper program, what was your reaction when you were originally inducted in?
I don't know. I felt very lucky that I had been noticed by the developers of the game that I was obviously so invested in, and it felt very like being asked out on a date by someone that's very pretty, right? Like, it felt really amazing. But at the same time, I did have this experience already from being a creator for a few years already, where I knew that it is very dangerous to expect validation from a company, right?
Yeah.
It just so happens that Behavior is overall a nice company. The people at Behavior are all very nice. If you ever meet them in conventions or in their offices, and you know, when we when we go to Montreal for the 10th. When you meet the people behind the game, you will notice that most of the people that are out there facing the fans are just the sweetest, nicest, kindest people ever. But at the end of the day, Behavior is a corporation. It's a company, right? And as a creator, you can never hold your breath and do something just because you want the validation from a corporation or because you want the validation from
an entity,
from a company that sometimes is going to be selfish and it's going to, I'm not saying that this is behavior, thank God it's really not, but there are companies out there that will absolutely take advantage of you. You will devote yourself to being the best at a video game or the best at promoting their brand, and they will throw you away when it suits them. So I really recommend to any creator out there that is feeling like they need validation from behavior or any other company to really look for that validation in their audience. If your audience tells you that your videos are making a difference in their lives, that it's entertaining, that it's fun, that it's making them smile and they go to bed listening to it, that's what you need. That's the one person, the one entity that you do need to make happy. That's your audience, right? So I tried not to be carried away too much by the fact that I had this kind of title, but to be fair, like behavior has been super, super sweet to me. They've treated me really, really well. I know people sometimes clown on them because there's been some PR disasters, but I feel nothing but love from behavior. And I do think that even though it's taken them a long time to listen to their consultants and listen to the voices in the community, in the last couple of years in particular, I do think they've actually kind of done a better job. I do feel like some years ago, sometimes we would tell behavior, hey guys, this thing that you're doing is going to be a problem. And then they don't listen, and then 6 months later, okay, it's the biggest problem ever, we have to go back. Now I feel like we're actually getting ahead, and slowly but surely the game is, it's a ship. If the game is a ship, it's going into a steadier course, and it's less likely to crash into an iceberg, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm really glad that for all the creators I've interviewed so far for this, it seems you are all in agreement. Like things are in a really good spot with communication and like how behavior is handling its creators and stuff along those lines. That makes me really happy to hear.
I'm sure there's like ugly spots, and I'm sure there's like some friction. It is such a large community and it is such a large game. Like if we look hard enough, we will find people that are unhappy, people that are mistreated, places where the game is not doing well, places where the game is lagging behind, right? But the game has had so many issues in the past, and it obviously was built on a foundation that was so shaky, right? We all understand why.
Right.
This was a passion little project, and it was not meant to be a huge video game. And now we're here 10 years later, and it's one of the biggest games out there, right?
Yeah.
So we understand that it had this really difficult past. So when there are improvements on that, I think it's good for at least to acknowledge it and at least to enjoy it. It's super, super easy to just focus on the negative. And trust me, I could do that for so long. I could just focus on the negative things about DBD and talk about the things that I hate and the things that need to be changed and the things that are terrible. And I could do that for hours and hours and hours. And then I would forget that I actually like this game,
Yeah. You just would become cynical and just focus on all the bad when there's so much good still like with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a follow-up to that question would be, now that the Fog Whisper program has been shuttered but has evolved into the Creator program, and with the program having been out for almost a year now, how has it been from your perspective seeing so many people like myself being able to call themselves official Dead by Daylight creators alongside you?
Terrible. I hate everybody. No, just kidding. It's great. It's wonderful. I mean, one impression that I had from meeting the behavior employees in person about a week ago is that they are very overwhelmed. They are very overwhelmed. They need to, like, obviously, when you put a creator in your program and then they turn out to be an axe murderer, that's not a very good look for you, right? So they need to do their due diligence. They need to make sure that they bring people on board that have good values, that are nice folks, right? And it takes a lot of time. There's so many people wanting to come on board. We have such a large community. So I do think they are a bit stressed out, and they're probably like working really hard to manage all of this. But, well, that's their problem. From my point of view, I think it's wonderful. The fact that people have gotten like just to give you an example. Okay, this is honestly such a small thing, but I think it's indicative of the larger picture. You remember Twitch shirts? You know how Fog Whispers used to have them, and maybe a few people out there had them. I think Twitch shirts was an awful thing. It was awful. If it was up to me, I would have removed them from the game a million years ago. I know a streamer, I'm not gonna name drop them, right? But I know a streamer that was incredibly dedicated to Dead by Daylight. She streamed the game for years on end. She loved the game. She had an amazing little corner of the internet that she had made with people that were like-minded, and she wanted the shirts, and she used the hashtag like they had been told to do.
Survivor, yeah.
Shirt my survivor, right? And she even changed her stream hours so that she would have a better chance to be noticed by someone in Canada watching her streams. And guess what? She never got her Twitch shirts for years and years and years and years. Now, when they gave me like at one point they told us, Fog Whispers, hey, by the way, we're gonna start giving Twitch shirts to more and more people. But before we do that, here's a few codes. You can choose a few creators each. I chose her to give her a shirt because I thought she deserved it, but I don't want that to ever happen to anybody else. I want any creator that works really, really hard, that builds an amazing audience, and that loves the game to be recognized. Maybe not with a Twitch shirt, who cares about shirt, but at least to be recognized, right? I don't want someone streaming 24/7 for recognition and then to not get that recognition. So to see that a lot of people that work just as hard as this person have gotten a little bit of recognition, I think it's really, really great. Even if it's a small thing, even if it's something that they shouldn't depend on, right? Because let's be honest, like you could be kicked tomorrow out of the Dead by Daylight program, or maybe Behavior tomorrow turns out to be selling weapons to North Korea and we don't want to be associated to them, right? Like something crazy could happen, right? Like you don't want your entire content to revolve around a single company or a single game or a single anything, right?
Yeah.
You want to be your own thing. Even though we said that Behavior is lovely and they're amazing and they're very, very kind people, you still want to be your own thing. But having at least that little bit of recognition, I know it means a lot to a lot of people, and I'm very happy to have seen that the devs have been ambitious and have actually like expanded the program to a lot of people, also in a lot of different countries and languages, which I think is awesome as well, not just in English-speaking communities.
Yeah, I gotta say, Jan, Mandy, Kate, we love you. We love all the work you do in the creator program. I know you guys are stressed as hell. There's so many of us now, but I really appreciate it. And like, yeah, for what you said, like for me, like I got inducted into the creator program back in December. I was stupid. I put the wrong thing as my ID, so I didn't get my Twitch shirts when Kwan Taeyong came out, but I will get them. In what, 2 weeks, something like that. So I'm excited for that. But
congratulations.
Yeah, it hasn't been like a main focus for me, but it was like something a little nice and some stuff.
And it's not. No, it's nice. And at the end of the day, like you are driving this game forward. Like you do deserve that recognition, right? It's nice. I don't want people to get too attached to like a cosmetic, because at the end of the day, it's a cosmetic, right? But I know it for a lot of people it means a lot. So I'm really, really glad that you're getting them. And yeah, you tell me what it's like to play with them, by the way. You're going to get sniped and targeted so badly, but hey.
So Kate had told me that when I had like messed up my stuff, Kate had gone to my DMs, been like, hey, well, look at it this way. Like you're not going to give me tunnel and stuff like that. And I was like, I play with polyester. I'm used to it. Like I am fine with it. I mean, hell, like my main is Sable. Like I already have to deal with that as always. As the time of this recording, I think you're aware.
You're right in the middle of like most tunnelable individual.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least I can give a killer run for their money, in my opinion. But
that's
like,
good. That's good.
Yeah, I always like when I was first watching Dead by Daylight content and stuff like that. When the Fog Whisper program first came out, I was like, man, I want to be a part of that one day. And I kind of like shuffled that off into the back of my mind, because at the time, like nobody knew how to become a Fog Whisperer.
Yeah, and it was kind of awful, right? Like you want to be part of something and there's not like a rule. Like it seems like a club that maybe you get invited to. I did not enjoy that. I didn't like that. I know I benefited from it. I know I was very lucky to be part of like the Fog Whisperer, but I didn't like the fact that if someone worked hard, they didn't have a clear way to like apply for it, right? So I'm very happy that even though the name Fog Whisperer was kind of cool and the new one is a bit lame, I do honestly celebrate the fact that we've moved to a more wide encompassing program. Good for Behavior, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, like last year for PAX, like when they had announced like FNAF and showed it through my tears of happiness. I like when they showed the creator program, I was like, oh my god, finally, yes. And then I read the
That must have
requirements, I
meant
was
so
like,
much to you if you grew up with that.
oh yeah, I this might get a little heavy, so content warning for anyone watching. The reason why I was like, hey, what do you mean when I was talking about me finding out YouTube? I was in a
Yeah.
very dark point in my life in 2014. I was going to commit suicide. I was in a very hard spot, and this little indie game called Finance for Freddy's was coming out, and everybody in my school was watching it. And I didn't know what YouTube was. I thought it was a place for trailers and music videos, but I googled FNAF gameplay, and the first thing that popped up was a little not well known YouTuber. You might not have heard of him, called Markiplier.
No, never.
Um, and I was like, who is this guy saying hi to me and like talking? And I just kept watching. I was enraptured. And throughout that, like that summer where I was in a really bad spot, these content creators like really gave me a place where I could feel loved and belonged. And so I owed and kind of still owe my life. Sorry, I'm gonna get a little emotional to FNAF. And the moment Michael Myers first appeared on the scene for Dead by Daylight, I immediately was like, FNAF for Dead by Daylight.
Wow.
For almost 10 years now, I had been championing it, and I kept getting told, nope, nope, it doesn't belong, it doesn't belong, it doesn't belong. And so when that tweet came out, I had just finished hanging out with my friend on Discord. He was getting ready for work. I
Wow.
saw that tweet. I immediately called him and I started crying. Then at the pack stream, I cried again. I have a clip on my channel of me crying. And then I was lucky enough to
Oh.
showcase the PTV with Polly, and I cried again during that. And then Polly invited me to do the night shift thing with him because FNAF had been such a huge part of my life. And so on that day, with not only with FNAF, but all these other announcements in the creator program, it was a monumentous day. And like, I love it. And that's why, like, that's also why, like, I wanted to do this whole interview thing, because creators are important. I think creators are people that help a lot of individuals throughout their career, throughout their timeline. Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter who you are, you're always somebody's safe space. And I wanted to celebrate the people who have done that for people for the past 10 years of this game. So I wanted,
That's a great way to put it.
yeah, I wanted to reach out to people like you, people like Hens, people like Asimov's, Polly, all these people that anyone I can get to agree to be part of this celebration. Because yeah, we're celebrating the game, but it's not just about the game. It's about the community. It's about the people who have been here and have helped like bring this game on the map and have been there to support the game. This game would be nothing without its creators and its community.
I'm really sorry to hear you went through that. Honestly, if anything, it is a testament to the absolute fact that things do get better when you hang in there, right? And I think that anyone listening, if you're going through something, even if it's not to the point where you're feeling to that extreme point, don't worry, things get better. You will have more agency over your life. You will control more and more things. You will make your own life better. Even if you try just a little bit, even if you don't try it all and you just hang in there, things get better. And I'm very happy that they went better for you. I know we're not super close, but I'm very proud of you, man.
Right?
That's amazing.
Appreciate it. Honestly, hearing that from someone like you, someone who I personally idolized for so long, like, it does mean a lot. And what Ott said, everyone watching, is true. I will have a hotline down below in the description, in the comments, for anybody who's dealing with similar issues. Like, you're not alone, and I do want you to reach out, whether it's a friend, whether it's family member, whether it's a random person on that hotline. Like, there are people there for you and that do love you and appreciate it. And like, I've lamented about this for a lot, especially having been in the creator program. Like, Polly has been a really important person in my life, helping me through that, as well as my best friend Cal and stuff like that. And like, being able to just escape has been great and all that stuff. Sorry to bring that heaviness to you and stuff.
No,
like that.
that's great. I think people appreciate the fact that we can, I don't know, go into a tangent and talk something genuinely without needing to like censor ourselves.
Yeah.
You addressed that beautifully, honestly.
All right, this is gonna be the second last question before I let you go and hopefully get some sleep or something soon.
Thank you.
What has been your highlight memory you've had with Dead by Daylight or involving Dead by Daylight in the past 8 to 9 years you've been playing it?
Okay, I think there's one that really sticks out. In 2020, a very popular streamer named Hexy decided to host a tournament where he wanted to see what the best of the best in Dead by Daylight would look like. and he called it that. He called it the best of the best tournament of 2020. He raised $15,000 as a prize fund for the tournament, which back then was insane. Nothing even close to that had ever happened. I think it was 15,000. And I reached out to him because I wanted to help commentate it or at least organize it in some way. And he told me, you should totally get in a team and play in it. And I told him, listen, I'm really not at this level and I don't have a team. And he told me, you know what? I know these guys that, I know are really decent survivors. Why don't you play with them? And I'm like, you know what? I'll chat with them. These friends, by the way, were American. They were good survivors, but they had never played in a tournament before. They were in a solid team, and also some of them had to drop out and stuff, right? So I found myself playing in this massive tournament with teams like Oracle, second best team in the world, teams like Agony, which was the best team in the world. Those two teams ended up being first and second, by the way, and a bunch of other insanely strong teams at the time, like Russian Kittens, as well as Instant Disconnect, I believe, and a bunch of others, like some incredibly heavyweight teams. And there I was, a person with relatively low hours compared to these folks, playing with people from across the world that I was practicing with until 5 a.m. for like a month straight. And even though we didn't win it, we came third. Wow. And that was incredible. Like, the way we got there was nothing short of miraculous. Like, every single match that got us there was so crazy, and I was very happy about that. Like, I prepared each round with a lot of ingenuity, with a lot of little tricks, and those are some of the most memorable games that I'll ever play in this game. And yeah, like, I still think about it. Like, I'm gonna be talking about this when I'm in my retirement home, like, I still think about some of these matches and how they turned out and how I suffered and how I prevailed. And yeah, and the best part is that after the tournament was over, those 4 or 5 folks that I played with, they're now friends. They're now my friends. So shout outs to all of them, including Choppa, including Hayden, including ASAP. Oh man, and Jack. Like, they were such sweet folks. And every now and then I check on them and I talk to them. Sometimes we play games together. We're not as tight, obviously, as we were all these years ago, right? Yeah. But I still love them, and I think I don't know, like, that to me was just such an amazing experience. And I didn't really stream it all that much. It wasn't really related to content. One day I'll make a video about it or something, but yeah, it was just so special, man. It was just so special. I think finding friendship in this game is just what most people have in common with it. Like, almost every single person that plays this game doesn't do it as a single player thing. They find a friend, they find a lover, they find a group of pals that are like-minded. And yeah, to me, that experience was just unbeatable.
Absolutely. Like, I hate playing Dead by Daylight alone, so I definitely get that.
No, and true, honestly.
Like, yeah, like, man, that's such a great memory, and that's crazy. I am very proud of you for reaching 3rd place against all those odds.
Thank you. No, that was awesome, man. One day I'll make a video explaining how I even got there, and none of you are gonna believe it, because the things that I did and the stupid little things that ended up helping me are just so unbelievable. But yeah, number 2 was Oracle, which was like number 2 and number 1. By the way, they had like 5 tiebreakers. They were insanely neck and neck. Those 2 teams were so far above everyone else. They were so unbelievably good.
That's insane. That's crazy. Honestly, I think so far you're winning for the best memory, because that's a pretty damn good memory.
Yeah, no, like, that was so sweet. That was so sweet.
All right, well, my final question for you, Otz. What are your hopes and dreams for Dead by Daylight, for yourself, or the future, for the next 5, 10 years, however long this goes on, however long you are doing content or your life?
Okay, I know this is gonna sound a little bit dark, but I just hope that DBD has dignity. You know what I mean? I hope that if in 3 years or 5 years, this game reaches a natural endpoint where it's like, you know what, it makes sense to leave it here. I hope that they don't drag it out. I hope that we as a community understand it, and I hope it doesn't turn into a gacha game or some crazy thing, you know what I mean? Like, I just hope that it runs its course. And if I'm there for all of it, awesome. And if I decide, you know what, there's this other game or there's this other thing that I'm doing right now that I like just as much, that makes me feel just like DBD made me feel 10 years ago, that I don't mind that. I think that's completely fine, you know? It's kind of like friendships. Sometimes they just, you know, sometimes you're friends with someone, but that doesn't mean they're going to be your next door neighbor forever, right?
Yeah.
Like some friendships run their course, right? So I just hope that wherever it goes, it doesn't crash and burn. I would love to play this game until the moment where it makes sense to leave it, or maybe for even longer than that. What I would hate is for the game to like run into some issues and then double down on them and then explode and then, you know, and then it gets sold to another company or some other unspeakable, don't even want to think about it scenario. Yeah, and I hope that we as a community are supportive and that we understand that keeping a game alive for like 10 plus years is like, that's been done like a few times successfully. Like, and in this genre, it's been done never. Not even close, right?
Yeah, I mean, every other game in the same genre has gone like a couple years, but nothing to the state of Dead by Daylight.
Yeah.
But what about yourself? Like, what are your hopes and dreams for yourself as a person?
Oh, well, I'm gonna be honest. If I had to talk about my dreams as myself, as a person, I think I would cry, man. I think I would cry. I've just
I
been...
understand.
I've just been so lucky, especially right now, coming from TwitchCon, which happened just a short few days ago, and meeting like 100 million people that are all so happy to be in the same room as you. It makes me realize just how lucky I am. I've won like 10 lotteries in a row to be able to do something that is so fun, so engaging, that opens the door to meeting so many people and traveling to so many places as well, even though I'm not a big traveler. Like, I don't know. I feel like to ask for anything else is just greedy of me. I just hope that if DBD doesn't hold my interest forever, if at one point I'm like, you know what, I'm just not feeling this game, I just hope that I find something else just like I found DBD. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just hope that I am passionate about something. It doesn't need to be Dead by Daylight, but 5 years from now, I hope that I'm making videos and I'm opening them with a smile and I'm talking to the camera with glee and with joy, and I'm excited to press the upload and go live buttons, you know?
Yeah.
But I hope I find a way. I hope I find a way to do that.
I think that's what we can all hope for, and hopefully one day I'm able to meet you myself. I unfortunately won't be at Montreal. I don't have the money to go to Canada, but
Well, you're in LA, so TwitchCon San Diego might be happening. I'm sure we'll have a chance, right?
I mean, for context, I'm unemployed right now. This small little channel is my job.
We will make it happen. Conventions happen all across the place, and honestly, lately I've been getting off my butt a bit more often. So I'm sure we will have a chance to meet, and I look forward to it.
I hope so too. I hope to shake your hand one day. But that's gonna be it for this whole road to anniversary, folks. I wanted to end it here with otzdarva, probably one of the most influential creators in the space. I thank you so much for your time, Otz. If you have anything you want to plug, your socials, anything, upcoming projects, please do so now.
No, honestly, I would just tell you, if you're watching a DVD creator that you really enjoy and you haven't done it already, when you make a purchase in-game, maybe try to use their code. You don't need to use mine. There's so many people using mine. I'm so lucky. But if you do watch one of the creators that has a code and you're not already using it, it doesn't cost you anything extra. You could use Ghost Arcades, Henses, Mishes, anybody else's that you watch that you enjoy, that you love their content, use their code, because that's a little bit of money that goes to them instead of going to behavior. We love your behavior, but you know, thank you for giving us codes. So don't forget to do that. That's maybe one thing that's worth reminding folks about. You do that in the store, in the little support a creator section. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was such a pleasant time.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And for all of you at home, feel free to subscribe if you're new around here. I make Dead by Daylight content whenever new updates go live and new news is here. Hit that like button if you like the video. Comment down below all your support and love for Otz, this wonderful man right here. I'd love to see it.
Oh no, don't say that.
And again, make sure to subscribe to him. I know he's only at a measly over 1 million on both of his main channels.
Oh yeah,
we got to get him to 2 million.
That's rookie numbers.
Yeah, we got to get him to 2 million.
Rookie numbers, man. Rookie numbers. How much does that Markiplier guy that you said has? Like, let's
27 million.
Let's get there. Oh my god. Okay, let's not.
But yeah, as always, guys, I hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, and evening. Goodbye.